Good evening, members of the House, and welcome to the 13th Ordinary Meeting of the 170th Session of the Literary and Scientific Society. That's the last time I'll ever say that. So for those of you who don't know, I have resigned as President to focus on my studies. This wasn't an easy decision to make, but I believe it is best for both me and the Society, and they're playing Meatloaf in my honour. Bad out of hand. But I guess before I leave to speak on this debate tonight, I'd like to say a few words. How do you sum it all up? When I was a first year nearly 3 years ago, I remember walking into the first debate of the term, excited to finally attend the society my older brother Alkin had been raving about for years. And I get there and I see the president at the time, Matt Lee, and he's standing there in his robes, gabbling bell at the ready to open what I heard was going to be some sort of Tesco value wannabe Billington club. And I looked at the president and I thought, who the hell would ever want to do that? No, but on a more serious note, the society instantly grew on me and became my absolute favourite part of attending university. I fell in love with debating and then, of course, the Literific along with it. Back when I started getting involved with the society, each week had some colossal new disaster to deal with. There were coups from all angles, and believe it or not, the people were even stranger. And that's really where I came in. Obviously, I ran for election at the time when the society wasn't doing too well for itself, and I really was just here to bring back some sort of stability to the Literific, and I think that the past year has been a great success. We saw the return of Literific's InterVarsity debating competition, held some of the largest events in Literific's history, and had our best result in the Irish Times debating competition in 50 years. We also continued all of our annual traditions on top of that. And as I said at the Conversazione, and I'll say it again last year, a society is only as good as its members, and I cannot take the credit for any of this, and I think you should all be extremely proud of yourselves. But I would have some people that I would like to thank. First of all, Daniel Toff. He has worked tirelessly day and night for the society and will make an excellent president, so I think he deserves a big round of applause. Our Secretary James Horchin. If he was here, I'd think of something nice to say, but he is not here. Next is my brother Rory, internal convener. You can all go home and forget about the Literific, he can never escape. Next is Dermot. All 5 council positions I have worked with him on, he has been phenomenal. Next is Grant for pulling off some of the largest events, Kieran Bartlett, and of course Jeffrey Donaldson Lit Talk, which is next week, and you should all get tickets to attend, they're free, so please do come. Tom, the best English student, Cuban-loving piano player around. Finton for having signed up to be external convener before he was even certain he'd be at Queen's, and of course Brian Hoey for his never-ending dedication to the society. And as much as I love being president, I think it's time for me to return my roots as a simple old debater. So please welcome our new president of the 175th session, Daniel Toff.
A hard act to follow, but I'll do my best. But firstly, I think it's sort of incumbent on all of us to thank Talsha for the work she's done as president. I joined the society at the start of the 174th session and have seen instability and have seen a sort of society nearly wither away and die, which would have been a shame. Talsha came in as president at the EGM 1 calendar year ago and turned the society around. And I think the whole council and the whole house would like to thank her for her work. Working with her, I've been the annoying treasurer who's probably had to message her most days about something, and follow up and just generally annoy her. So, but it has really been a pleasure to work with you. So I think we owe you all a massive round of applause for all the work. Now, you say that it'll be sort of the last time stood up here in sort of an official format. It won't be, and that is because, unfortunately, your leaving gift was delayed, so you'll have to come up here next week or whenever you're back and come and collect it, and we'll have to do that then. It's come from England, so blame them. But no, thank you for everything, Talsha. You've done an absolutely fantastic job. Now, I want to thank everyone for their support in voting for me as president at the EGM. Now, I want my presidency to be characterised by the personal development of all of our members. I think the Literific, through its 175-year history, even the bit where we didn't sit, has been characterised by encouraging political discourse. Thank you. It has been all about bringing people to Queen's, training them in public speaking, debating, and giving everyone, regardless of background, financial status, or anything else, giving them the opportunity to represent the university at competitions all over Ireland, and I'm hoping all over Great Britain as well. I think the personal development factor comes two ways though. I think that it's important, and I would encourage members in the next semester, if you see a competition you want to attend, if there's something debating related that you would like to do, please do come forward and come to me, and the council will look to, and to send you and to fund it. I think that as far as we're concerned, we're all horizon scanning, we're all looking for opportunities to send members off to various things. But I think it's important that if you identify something, even if it's not of interest to you, please let us know, and we'll see what we can do about sending a team. And that works hand in hand with my desire to expand the society and to bring up attendance, to do a wider range of events, and to engage people outside of the university, so when they finally come to Queen's, they can hit the ground running at Literific from day one and have the skills necessary already to do that. But that working with our schools convener, will deliver the largest schools comp since the Literific has been refounded, so no pressure, supported by the university and the Queen's Annual Fund. Working with our external convener, we'll deliver an IV over the 23rd and 24th of March, the weekend, bringing people from all over Ireland and hopefully Great Britain to participate in a rhetoric-based IV, and I would encourage anyone interested in taking part in that to let us know as soon as possible. Working with our new training officer, we'll deliver a comprehensive set of training workshops across different forms of debating, and we'll also deliver one large public speaking event open to the public with a guest trainer that anyone can come to regardless of your background in public speaking, and make sure you kind of build the confidence and skills to then represent the society at the debate. But I'd also like to congratulate our two new council members, Ella, our new treasurer, Jack Steele, our training officer, who can't be with us tonight, but who has committed to ensuring that everyone gets the opportunity to take part in a training workshop. And then finally, Dermot, who has sidestepped into a position. It's his kind of fifth council position, I believe. But he's got a lot to do. There's Conversazioni, which you should all buy tickets for, and which are for sale now, as well as various other social events we hope to put on this semester, and to raise money for the chosen charity, but also to make sure that not all of the society is serious, sat in here debating and listening to me waffle on. But I think it's fantastic to have my first debate as president in the McMorley Hall, which has been used before the society collapsed, which was used as the main place the society met. So this building used to be the old Students' Union, and this hall was its debating chamber, and the Literific had the use of it for a lot of the debates for decades, before they were turfed out and before the society unfortunately fell. I'm less thankful though that they're charging us for its use, but we're currently trying to see if we can get it for free every week. I think it's a bit better than the Senate room, but we'll see where we get to that. But yeah, I'd just like to thank everyone for their support. I'd like to thank all the members of the council for the grueling council meeting we had last night, and I just want to make sure that everyone knows that if there's anything the society can be doing better, or there's something where you want to see the society doing, please come to us, please let us know. We're all firing on all cylinders this semester, as we were last semester, so I really hope that I can see all of you every week. We can build attendance, and we can promote the Literific and the university as a place for debate and public speaking. Now, before we get into the order of business, we'll move to council announcements. I have one, and that is that the Mastermind casting team have reached out to the society to ask if any members are interested in applying to go onto Mastermind. Please just let me know or message the page if that is you. I promised them I'd raise it. You know, I think we've had one member do it in recent years, and it's filmed in Belfast. So I promised I'd raise it, and as you'll probably be watching the recording, I have raised it. Does anyone else have any other council announcements? Mr. Acting Secretary.
I am the internal convener as well. We have apparently we're in the new term. That means we apparently have a new term card. And if I have not signed it, I have not told you to sign it already. I'm not telling you again. To sign what? There are a lot of slots on a lot of dates that we fill, especially next week. So please sign. Thank you.
Yeah. Treasurer?
Yeah, just a note on membership, please pay it. I'm not going to do a whole speech, but at the end of the day, it does benefit you. Like if we do trips and stuff, that means you get to go on the bus for free, and it is like an investment into yourself. So please pay the membership. We're not a massive pyramid scheme or anything, but please pay it. I don't have my cash box with me today, but I will have it on Tuesday. If not, we do have a fixer, so please pay it.
Social officer?
So, as announced by President Toff and at some point by Comrade Ryan, we have our conversazione, which for those not versed in Italian and old people, that is our society formal, which takes place in the most unique Belfast venue, the Ulster Reform Club, Northern Ireland's premier members club, which boasts honouring members such as former Northern Ireland Prime Minister Lord Brooke, which we'll maybe not talk about, but also so £35 for members or £40 for non-members. So you might as well just pay your membership, and you get all the benefits that I mentioned. You just get one of these sweet cards, which is great. So yeah, you can pay in cash, or you can pay in the link in the $5 fixer, and just approach one of our people and pay cash.
Next to Mina.
One being the Trinity IV, and that is due to be on the 10th and 11th of February. Any interested party, please come to me afterwards or message the page. We really would like to see as many, to reiterate what Tom says, come speak. Furthermore,
Explain the spirit.
Go down your hands and knees,
yes, I'm wearing a kilt.
What time?
You can correct me. Please mention for the minute how cool I look. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay. For a well-gory big size new mortals at Airtool Clutch in the Trinota shop in Shakoon. Ain't what? Ain't your spatial Lara London like a Hulk. What? John the Channel. No made one touch Jim Johnson.
Quiet, please.
For those that don't speak wee Southern Singer, there's an airtime skating competition on, I didn't get what is
Okay, in English everybody, there is an Irish language debating competition taking place next week in Trinity College on the 30th, which is a Tuesday. So if you really don't want to go to the SDLP debate, you can go to Dublin, have a nice day out speaking Irish with the local Southerners, which I'm sure is a wonderful day out. Please, anybody interested, contact me as well.
Got any other council announcements? Events officer?
I just want to begin by thanking Daniel and welcoming to his place on behalf of the society. It's very good to see him after one election. I'd like to place my thanks on record to Talsha, who was a very good facilitator of council, a very good leader as far as council is concerned, and as Toft has already mentioned, as Mr. President has already mentioned, bringing the society back from some rather troubling times in the previous measures. I do hope that Toft sees out the remainder of his time as president without any coups or scandals and any resignations or disgrace. Anyway, just going on to the council business that I happen to have. In the first instance, next week is our Lit Talk with Sir Geoffrey Donaldson. You can sign up and get tickets through the Eventbrite link, through the link tree on the Society's Instagram and social media. I very much encourage you to all attend because it's very topical at the minute and it gives you an opportunity to pose questions to Sir Geoffrey. Secondly, I would like to bring a motion before the House to convene an event subcommittee, because in the first semester, one of the things that in previous years was added to the Constitution was an event subcommittee, which is you allow ordinary members and other council members to basically form this subcommittee that operates underneath the events officer and helps coordinate across the whole programme of Lit Talks and great debates that we hope to have for the rest of the semester. With their agreement, I sought to bring both Ryan Boyd, the Trust Secretary, and Dermot as the two members of this event subcommittee. I'd like to propose to the House that they are ratified and so that the Society can begin to undertake our programme of events for the rest of this semester, and so that we can kind of branch out and take advantage of the whole bandwidth, the additional bandwidth that allows, then across the collaboration that allows to allow those events to take place.
Do you have a seconder?
Second.
So we'll now just go to a vote to ratify the creation of the events subcommittee. Raise your hand if you are in favour of this motion, please. Count, Rory.
Once you get past 10, you know, just put rocks down.
More. Okay, let's go.
Rory, 36. If you are against the Society having more events, then please raise your hand now.
That's one row.
That's half. No, one against. And if you want to abstain on the motion, please quickly raise your hand now. You've already voted. Right.
He actually didn't vote. He didn't vote.
Fine. And one abstention. So I believe from a margin of 36 to 1 and then one abstention, that has passed. So congratulations, new events subcommittee members. No more council announcements?
Oh, I forgot to mention, after the debate we'll go to Post House, pints we've already booked, so it's not going to be a scramble for sheets this time. 20% off student charge on pints and house spirits and mixers, so you know it's a lot cheaper than any other bar in the city. So we get 416 Guinness that isn't professionally at the union, so
Brian.
Also, just to point out as well, as Nick mentioned, was the debate next week is on the Tuesday in the Senate room, and because of the suggested talk. Because in case.
Thank you. So yes, the debate next week is on Tuesday at 7 p.m. in the Senate room, and then the Geoffrey Donaldson talk is on Thursday at 7 p.m. at Riddle Hall. So please come to both of those. But without further ado, I reluctantly welcome Mr. Acting Secretary to read the minutes of the last ordinary meeting.
This might take a minute. Okay, so. I've always wanted to do this. On the 7th of December 2023, The Queen's University Belfast Literary and Scientific Society convened for the 11th ordinary meeting of the 175th session for the I'm just reading and they're laughing. Motion, this House would stop the votes. Now, as usual, the meeting began with announcements. Madam President announced by-elections for 2 positions, which ended up to be a lie. Rory announced the upcoming internal meeting, which allows people to comment on motion suggestions, which none of you came to. Dermot Hamill, HLM, I'm not saying the second one, announced that we will be going to Post House following the debate. Now that's an ongoing theme, just in case you don't know that we go to Post House. Following this, Fintan Lawler, HLM, congratulated Mr. Max Kieran on his progression in the Irish Times. Through the second round, Trust Secretary and Society OAP Ryan Hoey, HLM, announced that the annual Conversazione is to be held on Monday the 25th of March 2024. That's a really weird way of saying we have a formal, if any of you didn't know. Following a reading of the minutes, the meeting moved to private members' business. Noah Barnley, who's not here tonight, brought the recent debacle regarding Conor McGregor and the Irish presidency. Responses were heard from Fintan Lawler, HLM, Luke Anthony Patrick Maguire, that's a lot of first names, Luke, Ciara Swale, HLM, Dermot Hamill, HLM, who also swore, Keir Robertson, Jacqueline Bonner, Evan something, Jonathan Hattie. Tom Byrne raised this issue of George Santos's removal from Congress. Responses were heard from Noah Barnley, Dermot Hamill, HLM, Ciara Swale, HLM, and Minnie J. Kieran. Did I say Dermot Hamill, HLM? We're going to have to correct that in the minutes later. It's only one HLM. We also proposed a motion to elect Santos as a university chancellor. I hear that this caused a stir amongst the SU types. Ciara Swale, HLM, raised a new medical treatment that I am also too stupid to understand. No, hold on. I don't remember what was raised, because I did not write this, but I am not too stupid to understand whatever Ciara raised. Responses were heard from Fintan Lawler, HLM, Jacqueline Bonner, Luke Anthony Patrick Maguire, Jack Sands, and unfortunately Noah Barnley. President's questions then took place. Keir Robertson asked about John Locke or Thomas Hobbes, or something else. Dermot Hamill, HLM, raised some singer. Max Kieran declared his favourite Christmas song is Dominic the Donkey. Fintan Lawler, HLM, apparently asked the President what she has asked Santa for. Nothing, I don't write letter anymore. She responded, Max Kieran asked, quote, who is Terence? Shame. Dermot Hamill called for another round of applause for Terence. After President's questions, the vote of prior opinion was held. There were 15 votes for aye, 15 votes for nay, and 2 abstentions. So the opposition had it based on the fact a motion cannot pass without majority support. First on the proposition was Aaron Graham. It is a pressing history, he explained. The situation, well, he attacked lefty Guardian newspapers like The Guardian. An actual direct quote from him, I don't just want to stop the votes just because I'm a racist. He raised the issue of human trafficking, taking advantage of people and child crossings. At this point, Ciara seemed to argue it might not be good to stop slavery. He then went on to ask, quote, now why would we care about stupid things like human rights? Ciara Swale, HLM, then slammed her hand on the table as if in anger. First on the opposition was Fintan Lawler, HLM, the Archbishop of Kildare. Nothing of any relevance whatsoever was said. Second on the proposition was Luke Anthony Patrick Maguire. He declared, quote, I was as shocked as all of you that I was allowed to speak on this motion. You are welcome, Luke. He then started to quote Enoch Pyle and cited the legal philosopher Gary So. I believe in dignity. The opposition do not, he announced, Second on the opposition was Eve. They noted that Rwanda is not money well spent, and the communications with France are not working well. They produced various papers regarding the Tories' human rights records and accused the proposition of human rights violations. Yay. The third speaker for the proposition was Daniel Toft, HLM, or as we now know him as Mr. President. Right? He said he smiled gracefully through gritted teeth when Luke said he wanted to speak on the motion. He noted that the opposition should not be defining the motion and offered his own definition. He noted that the Rwanda plan is not an, oh, I can't read that word, isolationist approach, I think that's what it says anyway, and is fundamentally about dismantling the people smuggling businesses. The third speaker for the opposition was our dear Max Kieran. He noted that Australia is bad and handed out a flyer that did not really have any relevance. And smallpox was mentioned for some reason. He noted that Australia's border force silences those who report illegal immigration, and that we need to let more people in and have them contribute to the economy. The final speaker for the proposition was, oh no, Dermot Hamill, HLM. His speech was written, definitely written. He threatened to kill Max. He listed off policies and explained what is going on. He gave up doing that and started to prance around like something at an Apple launch, so Steve Jobs, slapping his hands together, and then he went, do you want to stop human trafficking? And Ciara Swale, I quote, said, oh no. Human trafficking is bad, and there was an applause. Keir Robertson asked what human trafficking is, as he has forgotten. Dermot then forgot it. The final speaker for the opposition was Ciara Swale, HLM, MA in human trafficking. Because Dermot blamed her for having a degree in it. Right, so we've all, oh god, no, this sounds like Ciara. Right, so we've heard a lot of words tonight, as Ciara said. I know words are hard, Ciara. What? She began by making an argument that when things are made illegal, they are sent underground. Ciara Swale defending illegal human trafficking. Without immigrants, our social services would not work. It would not work. Where does her boyfriend work? Question mark. What? Questions were heard for Ciara Robertson, Noah Barnley and Ryan Hoey, HLM. Following the debate, questions from the House, the vote on speaker ability took place. There were 14 votes for the proposition, 13 votes for the opposition and 2 abstentions. So the proposition had it. I love political discourse, Jaffa cakes, and Dermot, no, I don't like Dermot Hamill's new coats. Can I take the minutes as read?
Aye.
Now we'll move to private members' business, where you can discuss anything that you have seen in the news this week or that you're interested in putting to the House. Dermot.
I have 2 points. One, has anyone got a spare ticket for Limelight tonight? Because I'm quite out to go. And I haven't got one of them, so if anyone has one, sell them to me. Or give it to me. Or tell me you love me. You don't have to do that. The second point I'd like to raise is a motion. I don't know where is it? Miss Evelyn, never reads football. Members of the House, it is with sadness that we saw the resignation of President Emeritus Taoiseach Sparrow. Taoiseach served as external convener of the 174th session, producing an Irish Times finalist herself as a semi-finalist alongside 3 other quarter-finals. She ran a successful inter-varsity competition and represented the society well throughout the last year. In February of last year, Taoiseach took the reins of the society in a period of social and political hoopla. The society was in turmoil, and Taoiseach steadied the ship when we needed it most. From abysmal numbers due to the actions of former council colleagues to the heights we see at the society today. My friends, I've seen the society go from almost single figures of debates to almost triple figures. massive events we've held over the last year. So it is with, I think, the full endorsement of the council, and it is my hope that I'd like to table a motion tonight, and to get it on the record that this House backs Tasha McSparran for her work as president for the last year.
Yep. Can I get a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Seconded by many people. Now, if you are, we're gonna vote on the motion. I hope this is unanimous, but if you vote in favour of passing the motion, please raise your hand now. Rory, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Also, you can vote for yourself.
I think that passes.
You got coup, you're right.
43. If for some reason you want to be hated by everyone deciding to vote against, please raise your hand now. And if you want to abstain, please raise your hand now. Nobody. So by 43 to 0, the motion passes. Do I have any more pieces of private members' business, please? Misha?
So, similar to your announcement about Mastermind earlier, I've just seen on Vice UK while scrolling through Instagram that Channel 4 is looking for adult virgins for a new TV show. It's an opportunity that some may be interested in here. The programme will follow a group of virgin identifying adults on a Mediterranean island as they learn the art of intimacy. So you're all welcome to sign yourselves up.
We'll make sure to advertise that on the Instagram.
Society, I'd like to nominate the entirety of the opposition for the job.
Do we have any more comments on being a virgin?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to raise the motion to the House that, given that we are a society of debaters, that we should send the head virgin of the society and propose yourself to go on the Channel 4 show.
Do I have to put this to a vote? No. We'll continue. Anyone else got any comments? Jacqueline.
Wish I could go on, but I don't qualify.
I'd like to put in the minutes that Jacqueline Bonner, sex haver.
And do we have any more piece of private members' business? Mr. Murray?
Despite the number of motions that have been put before the House, basically, many of you may know that the Society used to have, back before it was disbanded, a presidential ashtray bearer. Now, this position was created in 1924, so exactly 100 years ago, and its full title was the Honourable and Most Exalted Bearer of the Presidential Ashtray. Now, I would like to put forward a motion to the House to firstly implore the Council that they buy an ashtray, and secondly, appoint someone to be the ashtray bearer, possibly a newly elected eccentric council member to the tradition.
Yeah, do we have a seconded? Seconded. And so if you are, do we have any comments on it first of all?
Yeah.
Sam?
I have an ashtray. I would be, since I quit smoking, I'd be happy to donate it to this worthy cause.
So the Treasurer will appreciate the not having to buy it. Dermot?
Mr. President, members of the House, I noticed recently while being incredibly depressed back home in South Armagh, when clicking through the drive and being able to see the archives, there's an old tradition back in the days of the old conversaziones in the older days of society, where the gentlemen of the society would retire to watch a play of some kind and then at the venue.
Dermot?
I will cover. The ladies of the society would serve as tea makers before the job.
Oh, for God! No!
I'd like to suggest that in true tradition we reverse that this year. And Mary McSparran as the presidential and society tea maker. Good Presbyterian tray-baked tea and
Nobody has to vote on that because that's happening. Anything else on the presidential ashtray before I put it to a vote as it is a motion? Okay, all in favour of reinstating the position which was originally in 1924, reinstated in 1958, and doing it again in 2024. Everyone in favour, please raise your hand.
And top has to take it smoking.
President Clough to you.
He's so good at math. That's why we selected him.
39. Anyone against? And abstentions? So from a margin of 39 to 0 to 1, the motion passes, and we will reinstate the position after council has discussed exactly how we're going to go about doing that. So thank you for that, Ryan. And then we've got time for one more piece of private members' business. Mr. Warren.
Just slightly more serious note. One of the Society's trustees, Lord Weir Valley, will be put into the hospital tonight. And I just want to, on behalf of the Society and the Council, pass on, put on note our best wishes for him and wish him a speedy recovery.
That's something we'll do. We'll send Lord Weir a note from the Society's Council tomorrow to send him our best wishes and hope he has a speedy recovery. I just want to check we've not got anyone from the English Society, as I know there was a pre-agreed private members' business. Yes.
Sorry, I've never spoken here before. So
No, you're all right.
Basically, on behalf of the Times, I'm doing interviews for final year students. Basically, just asking them questions about how their search for a graduate job is going. It only takes 10 minutes of your time, so if anyone is interested, just come up to me after this is over.
Perfect, thank you. Now, unfortunately, we now turn to President's questions, which, unfortunately, you have the chance to ask me anything, and I very much would prefer professional questions as we embark on an ambitious term ahead, Finton.
Do you like custard?
Yes. Thank you, Matt.
Now, Mr. President, the topic of debate, El Presidente, the topic of the debate tonight surrounds Screw it, mini Jake Kieran. Do it. But anyways, the topic of this debate surrounds literature, and so I'm sure this house would love to know, what is El Presidente's favourite book? He doesn't have a
It's a hard one to answer given I only read political books. The Bible. Thank you, Ryan. Is there any more? Go on, Grant.
In rather depressingly predictable form, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
I've not eaten breakfast for 10 years, so there was no breakfast this morning, and the answer will be the same every week. Schools. Yeah.
You said the Bible's your favourite book. Old or New Testament?
Ryan, what's the correct answer to this?
There is none.
You like all of it?
All of it. Equally all of it. Thank you. Yeah. God. Jack.
Again, rather predictable. You're a fan of tradition, and keeping with the tradition of the Literific, how would you like to be cooked?
With custard. Thank you.
Mr. President, linked today that Nicola Sturgeon,
Oh,
what's that message described certain politicians, Matt Hancock, as weaker than a month's piss. This concept, but as much use as a marzipan dildo. For a sweater rabbit and shitter. Which of those insults is your favourite?
My favourite one involves the marzipan. I think that was very creative. Very.
No, one more spell shit.
Do you know how to spell marzipan?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, there's only one correct answer to this, and you have 8 options. Who is your favourite council member?
That is, you know. My favourite council member is the ghost of the deceased Edwin Lawrence Godkin, or Edwin Godkin, I think about that. I like you all equally. Don't worry.
They're the lover too.
Thank God. We'll move on. Thank you. We'll move on. So we're going to do the vote of prior opinion now. The motion is: this House believes Harry Potter is more influential than Lord of the Rings. So this is a vote to see how the House feels on the motion before it is debated. So everybody who is in favour of the motion, please raise your hand now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. That is Rory, 11. Everybody who is against the motion, please raise your hand now.
Real competitive scene tonight.
Rory 23. 23. And any abstentions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's 5 abstentions. So can we have the vote of prior opinion, please?
We have 11 for the proposition, 23 against the proposition, and 5 people who will not include. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll turn to the actual debate. The rule, I'd like to remind everybody that there are rules of the debate enshrined in the Society's standing orders. If you're ever unsure of those, you can find them on the Society's website. But just briefly, each speech is 7 minutes long. The first and last minute are protected time, which will be signalled by the bell. Thank you. Meaning that you can only POI people in the middle 5 minutes of the speech. To POI, raise your hand and say point of information or on that point or simply POI. Please keep your POIs to 10 seconds and no barracking, meaning wait at least 15 seconds after giving a POI to give another one. Also, very importantly, no back and forth. If you need to leave the room at any time, please do so quietly between speeches. Don't get up and leave whilst there is a speaker speaking, and remember that noise from outside does travel, so if you're in the corridor outside, please shut up. Lastly, no swearing. If a speaker swears, they will be fined a bottle of port.
Are we enforcing it this term?
We are indeed enforcing it this term. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome the Grant Warren HLM to open the proposition.
Mr. President, and I'm aware that I'm probably one of the only people who's actually written a semi-serious speech for this debate, so before it descends into an utter shit show, I want to get this utter rambling piece of drivel out of the way. I want to begin by addressing the actual terms of the motion, because this is a motion focusing on the respective influences of these series, not necessarily the originality of them, because I think we could all agree, even I would agree, that Tolkien and through his Legendarium was much more highly original than J.K. Rowling in terms of making up characters as she was on a train journey between London and Edinburgh. Anyway, while both series have left an indelible mark on the world of literature and entertainment, I will focus on 3 aspects. Firstly, the impact on the publishing industry and the legitimization of young adult fiction, the massive expansion of fandom and its broader effect on popular culture, and the transformative influence on the film industry. Let's begin with the transformative impact of Harry Potter on the publishing industry. J.K. Rowling, yes, you can boo, you're all entitled, you're perfectly entitled to do that. Creation not only captivated readers with its magical world, but also played a pivotal role in changing the landscape of publishing. The series broke through traditional genre barriers, showcasing that YA fiction could be taken seriously and appeal to readers of all ages. Before Harry Potter, young adult fiction was often relegated to a niche market, but Rowling's success opened the floodgates for a new era in literature, where young protagonists in fantastical settings became not only accepted, but celebrated. The publishing industry witnessed a paradigm shift as Harry Potter paved the way for other YA authors, proving that young readers were not only hungry for compelling narratives, but were also willing to engage with complex and meaningful themes. The rise of authors like Suzanne Collins with The Hunger Games and Veronica Roth with Divergent or the Percy Jackson series can be directly attributed to the doors Harry Potter opened. This shift in perspective marked a departure from the conventional norms and empowered authors to explore diverse narratives, themes and characters within the YA genre, although I think we'd all agree that a rather dubiously named, the only Asian character of note in the whole Harry Potter series is rather dubiously named, so I would question the extent to which it is in fact diverse. Now, let's delve into the massive expansion of the Harry Potter fandom and its profound impact on popular culture. The wizarding world created by J.K. Rowling transcended the confines of the books, captivating millions of fans globally. From merchandise to theme parks, Harry Potter became a cultural phenomenon, fostering a sense of community and belonging amongst fans. The fan base extended beyond books to films, merchandise, fan fiction and fan art, creating a vibrant and dynamic global community that actively engaged with the series long after the publication of the final book. I do want to address the elephant in the room, which is the author of the Harry Potter series, J.K. Rowling. Regardless of one's opinion on her views, the fact that there has been such discussion in public discourse and on social media regarding the legacy of these works and how to separate the Potter works from the author's controversial views does show that Harry Potter is a beloved property, and in the sense of modern literature and amongst, probably for the most part, millennials who grew up with the books, that Harry Potter has exercised profound influence on the popular imagination and how we engage, even in much more broader social questions, the influence that its author, who has been accorded such a measure of influence and power that her views would prove so incredibly controversial, is a mark of the series' influence. The influence of Harry Potter on popular culture is undeniable. The series introduced iconic terms like Muggles, Quidditch and Hogwarts into everyday language. The wizarding world became a shared cultural reference enriching our collective imagination. Halloween costumes, themed parties and conventions centred around Harry Potter became commonplace, further embedding the series into the fabric of our society. In contrast, while The Lord of the Rings has a dedicated fan base, and no doubt Tolkien's work as a philologist and in crafting original languages through his legendary works is impressive, the most commonly associated things with Lord of the Rings are often associated with Peter Jackson's iconic film series. For example, if I were to ask people in this room what country do they most commonly associate with Lord of the Rings, they would tell you New Zealand, but that's by pure dint of the fact that that is where the film series was produced. Tolkien was in fact British and probably would have slightly recoiled at the notion that some far-flung part of, at the time, the Commonwealth would have played host to a popular representation of his beloved work.
Yes. Still part of Commonwealth.
Yes, but you do have to understand from the very Anglo-centric perspective when Britain kind of created Tolkien's kind of...
Not the female Commonwealth.
No, but still. In contrast, while it has a dedicated fan base, its impact on popular culture has been more limited. The lore is extensive. I'm sure there are many people in this room who could cite at length Tolkien's lore, and the themes are profound, but the cultural reach of Tolkien's masterpiece does not match the widespread and enduring influence of Harry Potter. Finally, let's explore the transformative impact of Harry Potter on the film industry. The film adaptations of the Harry Potter series, beginning with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone if you are slightly more prone to the more bastardized form of the language we speak. In 2001, not only brought the wizarding world to life, but also redefined the possibilities of film franchises. The success of the Harry Potter films demonstrated that faithful adaptations of beloved books could, again, this is slightly debatable, could resonate with both fans and general audiences alike. The film series also showcased the power of storytelling for a multi-film arc. It paved the way for other successful film franchises like The Hunger Games, Twilight, successful but not exactly intellectually, not exactly a bastion of great intellectual
on that point
storytelling. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe, proving that audiences were hungry for rich, interconnected storytelling on the big screen. The financial success of the Harry Potter films set a precedent for studios to invest in and commit to long-term multi-film projects, fundamentally changing the dynamics of the film industry. Again, for some people, the kind of prevalence of these cinematic universes could be a matter of regret. In conclusion, the Harry Potter series has left an indelible mark on the publishing industry, legitimising YA fiction and expanding the horizons of literature. The massive expansion of the Harry Potter fandom and its broader effect on popular culture has created a lasting impact that continues to resonate globally. Moreover, the transformative influence of Harry Potter on the film industry has redefined what is possible in terms of film adaptations and multi-film storytelling. While The Lord of the Rings is undoubtedly a monumental work, the Harry Potter series stands as a cultural phenomenon that has shaped the literary and entertainment landscape in ways that are both profound and enduring. Thank you.
You're lucky you're not the only one who wrote a semi-serious speech. And gentlemen, have you ever heard of a dictionary? Now, if you haven't, it's a book with words in it. And The Lord of the Rings is also a book with words in it. Coincidence? I say not. Now, this actually does have some merit to it, because as much as the impact of Harry Potter might be very pronounced to us right now, we equally have to look at the impact that Lord of the Rings has had over its over 80-year history of existence, which, if you think about it, from a logical perspective, means that it will always have more influence than a book series that was released nigh 30 years ago. Now, the true impact that I believe this shows is through the concepts of words that have been added to the dictionary. Through the writings of J.R.R. Tolkien, we actually changed the spelling of the words dwarfish, dwarves, the plural of dwarf, as well as elves, and equally, we created an entirely new concept known as the orc, which is, I believe you will all agree, is prevalent throughout whatever fantasy genre you experience. Now, it takes different forms, but it all comes together into this sole property that was originated within the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, he also created the word tween, I believe we can also link him to some modern 2000 sitcoms, so I'll take that. And equally, I just want to raise this. Now, while J.K. Rowling said that she was not inspired by The Hobbit, she did in fact state that she was inspired by the works of Lord of the Rings whenever she read them in high school. Sure.
Would you say that Shakespeare is influential because most of his characters are just comedian and martial characters?
Shakespeare is influential because of the fact that he wrote so many sonnets and poems that his influence doesn't come from the fact that his work is derivatory. The fact of the matter is that Shakespeare is influential through the fact that he was one of the most popular people at the time. His popularity is what gave him influence. But the thing is that the Arte is equally probably more influential due to the fact that his works have gone on. People might not know his name, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have an influence. And I believe that that is a key difference between the two. The fact is that you can link the works of J.K. Rowling to the impact that Lord of the Rings has engaged with. It has created the entire genre of fantasy. And on the point that the speaker of the first proposition mentioned, J.K. Rowling might have popularized the edition of young adult fiction. But if you look at the composition of young adult fiction, what do you see? You see a massive amount of fantasy novels. I'll read you The Wheel of Time, Crown of Thorn and Roses, is that sort of genre. Name me another book series other than Harry Potter in which a kid goes to a wizarding school. You can't. Yet I can name you so many books. I'll take that one.
Not a series, in fairness. I actually don't remember the book.
My point has been made! So, equally, I think that's a pretty clear example right there. Thank you, sir. You have written my speech. But equally, I believe the fact that so many people have copied the style of J.R.R. Tolkien, whereas if you think about it, despite the fact that the book series has been around 30 years, few people have even tried to replicate Harry Potter. Would that not indicate that the work of fiction is even more influential? I would say it would. And equally, mentioned there, Lord of the Rings, practically created the current modern nation state of New Zealand. And this is true because, and you will not get your point of information because I'll explain why. New Zealand's economy up until the Peter Jackson films were absolutely struggling. It was going into debt, and it actually was considering a union with Australia. New Zealand would have been abolished completely. Yet The Lord of the Rings came out. The movies were a smash hit success. They won Oscars. Harry Potter didn't. And as a result, New Zealand's tourism industry boomed. And as a result, New Zealand's economy resurged. It is now one of the largest progressive states in the Pacific and is now deemed as a major national player on the world stage. Now, I would call that influential, but maybe I'm wrong on that one, but I've got a feeling I'm right. Now, sure, Harry Potter might have more top fan fictions on AO3, but I dare say to you, just because something is prevalent in the now does not mean it is overall more influential. As a result, I truly believe to this house that Lord of the Rings has subtly been much more influential. It's lasted longer, so obviously it's going to have more of a chance to spread out through osmosis into the cultural dichotomy in ways that you cannot perceive but are prevalent in our modern society, whether it's through our spelling in English class, whether it's through works that we have studied in English that have been derived in part or otherwise in themes to its nature, or the fact that New Zealand now is a nice place to live and not Australia. And I will stand by my hatred of Australia. Equally, you talked about the Harry Potter films. Lord of the Rings revolutionized CGI and green screen technology through the fact that poor Andy Serkis had to crouch on the ground with little white ping pong balls on his head to motion capture his body. This has been used in video game industries. It was used in the Harry Potter movies after the fact, and equally has been used ever since in the film industry. I would call that influential. And as a result, that has also been used in the games industry for The Last of Us, one of the Video Game Awards' most prized darlings. And equally, Peter Jackson's films also showed that besides Lawrence of Arabia, you can make several films that are 3 hours long and works. So I believe I have made it very clear, and my colleagues will prove it even further, that Lord of the Rings is without a doubt more influential than Harry Potter. Thank you.
Hello. I would like to put you for a moment inside the head of our internal convener, Rory. Now, when planning for a motion like this, it may make sense to fill it with people who are avid fans of usually both Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, maybe just one. But Rory, in his infinite wisdom, decided he would put me on this debate. I have never watched either of them. I am fully convinced in my head that both of them are a complete load of nonsense. Hence why I've never watched any of them. But of course, I should walk you through what happens in these amazing films, which are so good that I have watched them exactly no times. In the first one, Harry Potter, which these people will be arguing for today, there's a little man. He looks a bit like Tom, but with shorter hair. He has some friends. He runs into a wall and then dreams that he's in some school. Maggie Smith is in it. There are lots of men with beards, and every time one of those men with beards die, the news makes a big deal, which annoys me because I don't know who they are. The other side, there's a little goblin thing. I think it used to present the Paul Daniels magic show. It lives in the woods. There's more men with beards who I think are dead. And that is all I know. Now, while you can say that both of these hideous pieces of culture have an avid fan club, I don't think they're people we should be looking up to. Indeed, Misha, if you're looking for people for your Virgin Island, I think you may have found them. But, of course, Rory knows who should speak, and I was chosen. Rory gave me the immortal advice, which I'm sure he utters to every speaker: just talk about Katharine Hepburn. So, of course, I could have done one of two things. I could have either researched, I could have watched these god-awful films, I could have written a speech, or I could have taken Rory's advice. And of course, as an avid and devoted member of the society, I could only choose one path. Katharine Hepburn was born in 1906 to a doctor in Hartford, Connecticut. She was in a few films. She was in Bringing Up Baby. She was in something about Amelia Earhart, I can't quite remember.
Point of information.
What?
Point of information.
Yes?
My mother met Katharine Hepburn.
Wonderful. She was also in The African Queen, which is one of my favourite films, and she was also in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier, brilliant film. She was also not in these films. She was not in Titanic. She was not in Toy Story. She was not in Toy Story 3. Yes? No, but I wasn't going to mention that one. She was not in Alton McSparren's remake of whatever it was. She was not in the next Alton McSparren remake of whatever it was. She was not in Alton McSparren's remake of Watership Down, which only would have made it even more harrowing. So, as I come to the end of this fine speech, which will be looked on as an example to young novice speakers for years to come, I've no doubt. Yes?
I think I remember Ray giving you some other advice, which was about the Golden Girl.
Yes, he also gave me this piece of advice. How would he know of these things that would so inextricably link together? But the only thing I can say about the Golden Girls is that they're all dead. Thank you.
Opposition.
Hello, I am Kilted Harry Potter. I come from somewhere that is inexplicably horrible because it is England. And I brought with me the One Ring. One ring to rule them all. I've forgotten the rest of the poem, so we shall sit there, nice and quiet. However, I do... Pardon? I've written this speech. So, once more, I am here in McMorty Hall to discuss something that will probably get me into trouble again. So, is Lord of the Rings simply more influential? In fact, to bring it on from Mac's point about the linguistic defence that he offered, not only has The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, through Tolkien's work, had a massive impact on the English language, it has an impact on a language far greater, the German language. The Kampfswerk is no longer the Kampfswerk, it is now the Kampfshobbit. Yeah, und das bedeutet a small little man about Dermot's height who's very angry. And probably wears the same glasses, but it changes from region to region. No, this wasn't in 1940, this is since. Further to that, other reasons are equally important. I'm going to say further to that again because I think it sounds good. Yes?
If Lord of the Rings is so influential in German culture, why do you not think that little boy that lives in the
Because it burns night. because it's Burns night, and I lost a bet with someone in Kildare to wear to this debate. Yes, as one of my loyal clergy people, one of my subsidiary priests, whilst I am Bishop of Kildare, as you know, said, whilst he was giving me Eucharist for some reason, that's not important. Whilst he was giving it. Yes, I killed there. Further to that, again, Vox Populi, Vox Dei. Sorry, sorry, I thought these jokes were a bit better known then. I've decided I'm going to talk about something else. Yes, World War I. Actually, I'm going to bring it back to actually a semi-serious point. Lord of the Rings, unlike Harry Potter, which, as we've discussed earlier, is derivative of pseudo-messianic prophecies about chosen one and so forth, much like everything is an amalgamation of lived experiences, the Lord of the Rings seems to carry on the lived experiences of the early 20th century in a manner that does not induce post-traumatic stress to the reader. It manages to, first of all, encapsulate the bravery and nobility of the noble Tommy, of he who fought valiantly in the First World War, putting himself under his officers and under his nation and facing, frankly, some of the worst horrors that none of us, frankly, can properly imagine. Thank you. So, whilst Harry Potter, through its pseudo-messianic gaze, puts forth that, no, I am the chosen one. Not me. Sam is. He's the chosen one. And that there is the great leader somewhere sitting about with his magic wand in this case, or his sword, or his cross. It depends on the story that you've read, but they all follow the same arc. Tries putting in the sense of ordinary heroism that is probably only been properly seen in one other text, that being Ulysses, through Leopold Bloom. You don't follow?
Please tell me more, Magic Man.
Magic Man. So, Leopold Bloom, much like Frodo or Samwise Gamgee, not Samwise, this is Sam's dad, by the way. Sam's dad is a hobbit. It's okay. Talcha and Rory and Olkin's parents are elves. That's why there's so many of them. Yes. No, you're not. Because that's not what I'm arguing. I'm sorry about this. I swear I'm normally better prepared. However, it's not ended well. Yes?
In this analogy, is Max Kieran with the fluffy feet, does he play Jesus?
No.
In World War I?
Thank you, Jimmy Savile. You wore those glasses. He represents the noble Tommy, he who went to war, who left home on a great journey, and maybe to destroy this one ring, or to just simply do what he was told. While necessarily, of course, that is, in this case, going into the breach. It is shown that through Lord of the Rings is, frankly, a tale of resilience for all. While Harry Potter is about a whiny boy who has been chosen but really doesn't want to do anything about it. He eventually goes and fights the strange white man with the snake nose. But if called upon, it shows that when people can be great. And if that is a lesson that we take from anything, is that we all have the capacity for greatness. And that is the true lesson of the Lord of the Rings. And if that lesson carries through any vestiges, whether that be through a derivative work of the Lord of the Rings, or indeed through the core text itself, that is why it has greater influence, because it carries a greater inspirational note. Indeed, there is one ring to rule them all, and in that case, that is our own resilience. Or resilience.
Resilience.
Yes. I'm not sure what's more distracting to you, the fact that I'm in a kilt when everyone else is in trousers, or the fact that I'm saying the word resilience again and again and again. That's the end of my time. But just remember that the Lord of the Rings carries a more inspirational note that we can much more easily apply to our own lives, rather than suggesting that we're all pseudo-messiahs. But that, in fact, in normality, there is its own greatness. Thank you.
President Emeritus Taoiseach Tang.
If you didn't want me to resign before, you're going to be glad of it now. When I was 10 years old, I made a Pottermore account and I found out I was a Hufflepuff and I cried. Dramatic reaction, but I think it was completely fair considering the fact that J.K. Rowling's housing system is insane. You've got Gryffindor and Slytherin, the good guys and the bad guys, then you've got Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff, the smart guys and the... What's the opposite of smart? I don't know, I'm just a stupid old Hufflepuff. But can you imagine being 11 years old, getting up in front of your whole school just for a magical talking hat to announce that you're dumb to the rest of the year? I would transfer to the nearest public school immediately. I loved Harry Potter growing up. It's a great book for kids, and of course the movies too. For a lot of people, they got to grow up with these characters in a magical fantasy land that were dealing with the same issues as them. Well, not all the same issues, because there was like an evil snake man trying to kill them, but you know what I mean. There are really 2 points I would like to address in this debate. And first of all is all the stuff that people have been saying about Lord of the Rings. I have heard a lot of talk from the opposition about the influence of Lord of the Rings apparently has had, how it created the fantasy genre, how so many later fantasy books, games and movies were inspired by this, and how J.K. Rowling herself copied elements of Lord of the Rings while writing Harry Potter. So how can Harry Potter be more influential when it was allegedly influenced by Lord of the Rings? First of all, Tolkien did not create the fantasy genre. The fantasy genre existed long before he was around. I mean, just look at Alice in Wonderland or the work of W.B. Yeats. Bookshops were teeming with fantasy novels, short stories and poetry, but people weren't reading these works because they're good. I just don't know if it's fantasy or if it's like a psychological thriller. No, these novels were getting put into the children's section or in with other works of fiction. Then Lord of the Rings came along and it collected fantasy all into like one area of a library or a bookshop. It made it so that you could walk in and go straight to the fantasy bookshelf section. Lord of the Rings did not create the fantasy genre, it collected it all in one area. I haven't been in so long, this is weird. If you compare this with how Harry Potter has affected bookshops, I mean, you can't walk into Waterstones without a display of wands threatening to poke your eye out. Not only is there a whole bookcase of just Harry Potter novels, but the merchandise takes up a massive area, and as Grant addressed, it has made it so that the upper middle grade fiction is the most prominent feature of the shop, and that is true for every bookshop across the world. Also, this whole thing about is there another school, like a magical school? Oh, that hasn't happened yet, so it hasn't influenced the fantasy genre. There is, it's called the School for Good... Yes, actually, I'll take it.
There are other schools?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
No. Sorry, Jake Kieran... sorry. Max Kieran said in his speech that there was not another book that had been created since that had like a magical school, but there are other books that have been created since that magical school. School for Good and Evil, which just had like a massive Netflix movie made and was a complete rip-off of Harry Potter. Percy Jackson also has a chosen one where they go to a magical camp. And also all of the books now focus on children main characters. It's the only thing that gets sold. It's changed and uprooted the whole publishing industry to be focused on either YA, apocalyptic novels about children, or YA fantasy novels. Yes, please.
Long before even Lord of the Rings, these ideas of the English school children going out on adventures, is that not also a key part of children's literature prior?
Well, it's not English school children going out on adventures, though. It's about the idea of them getting uprooted from their normal lives, being a chosen one, and then going to like some sort of magical land. It's like, no, thank you. Also what I said about influence of, like, would you say that Shakespeare wasn't influential just because he was inspired by Commedia dell'arte? No, you wouldn't. Not to compare J.K. Rowling to Shakespeare. Obviously, she is way worse. But
on that point,
no, thank you. But she was obviously inspired by Tolkien. I mean, Gandalf, Dumbledore, Death Eaters are Dementors, and both had giant evil spiders. But you can be inspired by something and it'll still have influence. There is no such thing as art that hasn't been inspired by another piece of art. Everything we read, watch, or listen to is a copy of a copy of a copy. Tolkien himself is guilty of this. He said that with The Lord of the Rings, he wanted to create an English mythology because England didn't have one, and he did this by borrowing from other stories. Gandalf, well, he's Merlin. Dwarves are from Norse mythology. He didn't create dragons or talking trees. In fact, the whole structure of a story is the most basic plot structure a writer can use, the hero's journey, something that has been around since the ancient stories in Greece. Don't get me wrong, Tolkien did all this, and he did it very well, but it's not original or new. So to criticise Harry Potter and diminish the influence of the franchise because of this is also to do the same for Lord of the Rings. So your point is invalid, it falls.
On that point?
So yeah, sure.
The crux of my argument was saying that, sure, his works aren't entirely original, but equally, you can the most influential person is the person who originally created those ideas. So therefore, the more old a concept, the older you go in terms of the thing that uses that concept, the more influential it is. Wouldn't you agree?
I would disagree because, like, even the example of Commedia dell'arte versus Shakespeare, nobody in their right mind would be like, yeah, Commedia dell'arte has more influence on us now. No, if we look at everyone in this room right now, I would actually hazard a guess and say most of the people, have we ever watched all the Harry Potter movies, or read the books, where Lord of the Rings just doesn't have that same impact on this modern audience at all. In the same way that Commedia dell'arte before Shakespeare might have had more influence on a lot of people, but now we can 100% say that in every English class I go to, I have to read Henry V and it's awful and I hate it. So basically, the only argument left for you guys is that he collected the fantasy books all together into one place, and you feel that it changed how elves were presented in media, or dwarves were presented in media, or whatever else characters he had were presented in media. I mean, you are starting to sound like English students with the way you're talking about these novels. And the second point I would like to oh God. Okay, well, I'm just going to move on to the hysteria surrounding the Harry Potter novels because it is absolutely crazy. People have Deathly Hallows tattoos. People name their children after Harry Potter characters. There's mad Harry Potter 9/11 fan fiction, and people act like their houses are their blood type. Need I mention the disturbing TikTok Harry Potter fandom that created shifting and Draco talk? But perhaps the most hysterical of all the Harry Potter fandom is a group of women called Snape Wives. And
oh no!
I think I might be the Snape Wives, also known as Snapes, are a group of women in Harry Potter fandom who believe that they channel Severus Snape, allow his spirit to inhabit their bodies and speak to them, are engaged with romantic relationships with Snape, and see him in a vital spiritual guide for their daily lives. They practice Snapeism, a new religious movement centered on Snape. They believe that J.K. Rowling only wrote the Harry Potter novels because she channeled Severus Snape. And they edit pictures of themselves with Snape in sort of either him comforting them or in marriages with them, and it's total damning evidence for the opposition. While researching for this debate, I find some really interesting.
Oh no!
You just want to hand these out?
No, you did this.
Do you want to just hand some of these damning pictures out?
Good for you guys, I'm sorry.
I think that we've got some people channeling Snape to write speeches right now.
Oh, that's very flattering.
Anyway, I'll just leave you with that. Thank you.
I'd like to say, first, astagfirullah, not kosher, not allowed, not permitted. That shit was crazy, and I'll give myself that wine since I'm the port baron. I don't care. Anyway, today, as a bisexual who can't choose a side, I'm going to tell you about Ursula K. Le Guin, who is the perfect love child of Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, except, oops, she came before Harry Potter, which means that Harry Potter is just an extra step in being influenced by Lord of the Rings. Isn't that crazy? Now listen, Lord of the Rings, absolutely crucial to the fantasy genre. However, Ursula K. Le Guin, light of my life, what a woman. What did she write? She wrote A Wizard School. She wrote A Wizard Orphan. She wrote a comically simplified evil versus good debate in her books. And yet somehow she wrote that 30 years before Harry Potter, and she has cited J.R.R. Tolkien in her writing many times, although she is dead, R.I.P., that sucks for her. Now listen, if you go onto Archive of Our Own, which I'm sure Literific knows nothing about, yeah, whatever. Anyway, if you go on to AO3, there's 500,000 Harry Potter fanfics and only 100,000 Lord of the Rings fanfics. And you may say, but Jacqueline, doesn't that mean that the fans are more inspired in Harry Potter than Lord of the Rings? No, I'll tell you why that is. It's because Harry Potter is full of fetishes. They're evil, evil people. They're evil people who just want to see minors get dirty. And I tell you what, the influence of Ursula K. Le Guin, she had the homoerotic bromance, all right? She was on that shit in the fucking 60s, in the 50s. She did more for gay rights than Marsha P. Johnston. Do you fucking hear me? That lady was on the forefront. She was on the forefront. Listen, on one hand, we have Tolkien. He was a cultured man. He was a wide-reaching man who wanted to just tell a story to his children and then translate that into the published world to the widest possible audience. And we have J.K. Rowling, who's ginger. I don't support that lifestyle personally. I would suggest that none of you support that lifestyle. Talsha, I'm watching you. The McSparrons may think they're safe just because they have a couple of brunettes packed away in the back. I don't think so. All right? Listen to me. The McSparrons, their days are numbered. You know why? Because they're ginger. You know what Darwin said about the gingers? Darwin said the gingers were closer to animals! They were closer to animals. You know who's the main character in the Harry Potter franchise? A fucking ginger! You know what that means? That means that the closer to civilization is J.R.R. Tolkien. You, twink, what is it?
Isn't the wee dwarf fella, or Montier or whatever he's called? Is he not the wee ginger fella with a big axe dwarf? Oh.
Are you talking about Thorin? Just nod, you don't have to rebuttal. Okay, listen. The reason why that's acceptable, and I'll tell you why, is because he is also a little that, okay? And as we all know, two negative things cancel each other out, okay? So he becomes a pure Anglo-Saxon in the strange carnival twister of it all. Do you understand? There's no rebuttal, Dermot. I know you know this. You've had 5 council positions, you know, 6, pardon me. You've had 6 council positions, you know this. No. Astaghfirullah, Dermot. That's crazy. Anyway, Ursula K. Le Guin strikes me as the sort of person like Donna Tartt who is bi-curious but has never quite gone that meter with women, you know? It's like she went to college, she had the experience, she did ketamine, but she didn't quite get there. Yes, America. The facts, all right? I stick to the black and white of it all right? Do you understand me? And I would know about that because I'm as white as they come, all right? I put the cracker in cheese and crackers. Do you understand me? Anyway, I'm sorry, does Harry Potter, what did they have? They have Quidditch? They have a sport themed after the franchise? What does Lord of the Rings have? They have a language! All right, now listen to me. It's Star Trek and Lord of the Rings versus Star Wars and Harry Potter. Do you know what the difference is? The difference is one half, is owned by Disney. And the other half is not, which means Star Trek and Lord of the Rings, superior by comparison. Commie legends, they don't bow to the capitalist warlords, all right? And you know what? As someone who speaks Klingon, I have to side with the other half of that, all right? I have to admire that linguist, autistic nerds everywhere sided with Lord of the Rings. They said, we're gonna make this elvish nonsense a language! We're gonna give it phonemes, we're gonna give it grammar! No! And what does Harry Potter have? A stupid game called Quidditch where they don't even fly? Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah! Alright, this is Jacqueline Bonner, atheist. Atheist signing off. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I don't like this. I once drank a lot of vodka Red Bull, then decided to work a 12-hour shift at work, and then before I went to sleep I took some poppers, and I had some really weird dreams, and I hallucinated a little bit the next day, and that is how I feel right now. I don't feel safe. I'm really scared. And I'm a little confused. Fintan talked a lot about some stuff, and then he kept talking about how resilient his ring was. As pointed out, the link between Star Trek and Lord of the Rings is in this case Fintan, because Fintan is a raging fucking virgin. I'm going to read out to you something that Lord of the Rings has influenced. Now, I'm putting on my Jimmy Savile Polo Ralph Lauren glasses because I don't want to make eye contact with any of you while I read this, because this is going to make me feel quite sick.
Oh no.
The air that evening was warm milk. Frodo closed his eyes to the sky. To the shadow before it. Thrust up. Oh, Pippin. Frodo clutched Pippin's moving form, matched each push and stroke. It was heat. It was pain. It was the ring. No. It was love. It was light, shadow, and flesh, and sunburst. I think Pippin and Frodo are the wee hurry feet fellas. I think this is about them having sex. There's some linguistics pointed out by Max coming up. It was Pippin. Later, Frodo saw himself in green eyes, his sweat on Pippin's lips, and his age reflected in a face no longer a tween's. There was doubt there, sadness. Pippin must have suspected, as Frodo knew, that it would be the last time. You need to be logged in to leave a review for this story. Leave a review for this story. Hold on. Oh fuck, this is bad. But Frodo was beautiful as he closed those haunted eyes. Beautiful as the creases cleared. Beautiful, and Pippin moved in a desperate rhythm, taking Frodo inside him with each downward push. He wanted all of Frodo, all he could hold, before it was too late. It was more than need. Evening light all around them, sunset light.
Please! I'm deeply uncomfortable.
Before all light fled. I think after that we're going to the prayer service. Let us pray. So, what we've learned tonight is that yes, Lord of the Rings is influential. It created a genre. It created a fan base of virgins. But most of all... Matey. Okay.
You've just read out some kind of Lord of the Rings smut. You will then proceed to attribute that to Tolkien. Is that your...
Well, hold on. There was a film a few years ago called Tolkien, in which I think it largely insinuated that he was a dirty homosexual. Because, I also want to point out, this is the view of the opposition here tonight. You see, they have pointed out the links between that and how we go about our lives today. And what they have taught us is that they are nothing but degenerates. And as evidenced by the presence of Max and Fintan, they're also degenerates that have never had sex. Jack, and I will believe in it, and Jack will not bring up your sexual exploits.
Do not say fucking.
But I'll send you a boxing glove in the post. But I think we ought to reflect on what we have read here tonight and what it has taught us, as with every thrust, that with every new adaptation, every new mention of the Lord of the Rings, and that every new fan shows that their piece of possibly influential fiction is awful and that its fan base are the worst. In fact, it is true that the fantasy genre was given a section in the library, and you can always tell that section before you go into it, because you'll see Harry Potter on a nice, big, beautifully lit shelf, and then you'll be able to smell the BO, the sadness, the slight smell of salt coming off of the fantasy section, usually inhabited by weird people in skirts.
It's a kilt.
It's a skirt. And that being Scottish is no excuse for wearing a skirt.
On that point.
Sure.
Now, Mr. Hamill, you have
your time is
up.
Well done on that POY, Max. You see, as I was pointed out as a twink, I will do the same. Point out Max as strange. You see, do not be taken in by the false ways of the opposition. Do not be taken in by their view of literature as Lord of the Rings being the be-all and end-all. It is not. And we ought not to fall into such traps. We ought not to be led into any such false lie. Because, my Ulster friends, I say to you now, we must oppose this motion. Because otherwise we give in to the virgins. We give in to the weirdos. We give in to the degenerates. We give in to whatever really awful person wrote that piece of internet fiction. We ought not to give in. We ought to stand here together in the name of a wee fella with a whiny voice who goes on about his wand, with dark hair, from a weird, strange place with funny glasses. And I'm going to just finish with another verse of A flush creeped on Mary's face. He tried to think of cold water, rough bark, naked Sackville Bagginses, no dice. Pippin had already popped the last button, and even before his fingertips found it, I'm going to swap out a word for wand here. Mary's wand was hard and eager. Mary wasn't sure whether to bless or curse the long tablecloth. He stared at the turkey, clutched his fork, and prayed no one would address him for the next 10 minutes. There was a good chance there were, after all, 50 other people to talk to at the Master Yule's dinner. You need to be logged in to leave a review for this story. You need to be logged in to leave a review for this story.
Civilized this place.
Right. What the fuck? I'd like to just start my speech by pointing out the wonderful speeches of the people who've come before me. We've had some very well researched speeches. We've had Grant, we've had Max, we've had Fenton. We've had some less well researched speeches. We've had Sam. We've had what I think is a self-hating hobbit at the end, who threatened to defame me. And we've had a speech which I didn't understand. Now, Lord of the Rings versus Harry Potter. I'm not here to debate whether or not Lord of the Rings has had a bigger influence on the English language, whether or not it's had a bigger influence on our take of sort of generally European mythology, Celtic influence and Norse influence and all that. I'm here to talk about how Lord of the Rings was catalytic in the civil rights movement for the LGBT.
Because we look at the plot of Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a very big woman writing about a young boy who's orphaned, abused by his adoptive family, and his adventures in psychedelics. Lord of the Rings, on the other hand, is about an old man who fights other old men with his staff and wants to have his ring destroyed. I'm sorry, I actually don't know how to follow down the hallway. Wants to have his ring destroyed. The immeasurable
I just wanted to know
The immeasurable influence. The immeasurable influence of Lord of the Rings cannot be understated in that it was my sexual awakening. The very moment
No more.
that Elijah Wood's pale blue eyes first graced the screen was the moment I knew I might not entirely be straight. And then to follow that with Viggo Mortensen, who broke his toe for the role, and the very great, I can't even fucking remember, who plays
Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen, who came out in 1988, a hero of gay rights and people who want other men. Why are there two up there? What I will say, first and foremost, is that there is no way I can end this speech. There is nothing I can do that will claw back any dignity I have from, quite frankly, the defamation that Dermot gave upon my ears. And I would like to point out that he got me very drunk before this speech in what I can only assume was a ploy. You know what, go.
That is a lie. Actually, you suggested doing a shot, and I took it down. I did not suggest we can shoot whiskey with you, and I did not defame you. I just did not bring out your sexual exploit.
Yeah, and that's what's thrown me. I have no idea what to say after that. But all of my points were stolen by you because I wanted to make this an LGBT pro thing, but you've made this sort of horrifying. I'm actually, you know what, fuck it. I want to get away for drinks. I can't do this. I can save the rest of my time.
Well, thank you for that, Jack. That was an interesting debate. We have time for one round of questions. So, firstly, I'll take a question for the proposition, please. Yep, go ahead.
So the proposition exonerates Harry Potter for not being the source, but a pioneering factor in the young adult fiction genre. They claim that's a positive, but at the same time, in Talsha, your opening minute of your speech was diminishing Lord of the Rings' role for not being the source of the entire fiction genre, but yet in the same speech you admit that it is a pioneering factor which popularized the entirety of fiction. How do you reconcile that logical inconsistency?
Oh God. I think that what I was trying to say, what was I trying to say? Was that basically when it comes to the fantasy genre, fiction was around before then though. Fiction has always been massive, it maybe didn't look the same way as it did, but it was around, look at any classic novel by the Brontes or Austen, or fiction was massive and it was rare. What I'm saying is that obviously the fantasy genre existed beforehand. Lord of the Rings didn't create it, and Lord of the Rings didn't popularize fiction either. It just collected it all into one area of a bookshop. That's what I meant, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Opposition to respond?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for your question. I believe this pretty much highlights one of the main problems with the proposition's argument, which is that, there are people who came before Shakespeare who might not necessarily be well known, but equally can be argued to be much more influential. We have so many films nowadays that surround individuals who previously we did not know of, yet have had massive impacts on the way we view the world, what we have, what we haven't done, like hidden figures, that sort of thing. And as a result, we cannot just go, oh, because this person is so popular, that therefore makes them more influential. So sure, right now, J.K. Rowling has much more popularity than J.R.R. Tolkien. Sure, there is a massive section for Harry Potter and there's a slightly smaller section for Lord of the Rings. But I believe we, as the opposition, have outlined that while Harry Potter revolutionized the publishing industry, the works of Tolkien, specifically Lord of the Rings, have given us so much more. And I don't think that the proposition ever reconciled that in their speech. And I feel that that is a very key reason why the House should vote for the opposition on this motion.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the opposition, please? Anyone else? President Emeritus McCormick.
Oh, you have a serious one?
Kind of.
Oh, well, can I ask a serious one? Then you can ask a serious one.
Okay.
You weren't making a list.
What? Yes, I am.
Are you
Go ahead.
In the same vein as that conversation that just happened, I think the idea that like Lord of the Rings came first, therefore it's more influential, is sort of weird sort of garden path where you run down eventually the first book written is the most influential book of all time. And that seems like, sort of like every book that came before Lord of the Rings that J.R. Tolkien read and had an idea from is more influential than Lord of the Rings, and every book that was written before that was more influential than that. So surely you just can't say because J.K. Rowling read a book one time, it's more influential than the books that she read.
Well, I think the way I would say, maybe this comes down to differing viewpoints on this, but I would say the first person who ever wrote the book, if you think about it, created the concept of literature as a form of culture. They put words on a page, and all of a sudden we recognize that we can write stuff down, we can record stories, that sort of thing. I would say that the person who wrote the first book is the most influential person ever in terms of the field of writing. I believe that's a fair assessment to make. And as a result, we have to highlight the fact that those who make these large leaps and bounds for the period, sure, it might have been rough, but sure, there have been people who have done it better. But I equally believe that through that, the frame of logic that I'm running with here, that if you are the person to have created, well, not necessarily created, but popularized a massive genre that is still tiny to today's literature industry, arguably more titanous than Harry Potter is, which is a subsection of that genre. The fact that you have revolutionized the way we spell, the way we actually know knowledge about linguistics, film industry, our video games industry, and has had this wide-reaching impact that we can attribute to this original work of fiction, whether it's through a domino effect or whether it's through direct comparison. I believe that through that logic, and maybe you can feel free to disagree, but that therefore makes it, without a doubt, to my mind, a much more influential piece of work.
Opposition to respond?
Well, it all comes back to the kind of phrase beauty in the eye of the beholder, in the sense of influence isn't, of course you could trace back almost infinitely the influence that the people who came before have, but influence is really measured in concrete terms, in terms of recognition and kind of popular culture as a currency in which influence is measured. And while I think the opposition have made a very sustained case for Tolkien's works having influence insofar as, yes, okay, works made their way into the English dictionary just by the mere fact of that happening, but that doesn't kind of crystallise in terms of influence. Influence is measured by popular culture, and yes, 30 years on, Harry Potter is still one of the most best-selling young adult series. It is the single highest best-selling book series of all time. And this occurred in the last 30 years. You know, there are books that, as you know, Tolkien has had a 50 or 60 year head start on J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, and yet in pure popularity terms and in terms of its recognition as influential, you know, the Harry Potter series has, I suppose, concretized and crystallized its success and influence in such a short period of time. I think as time goes on, you know, Tolkien, yes, is probably a more serious object of study in terms of the influence on literature and stuff like that, but at the same time, you know, it's not to simply disregard something that's popular. That popular equals influence, whether people like that or not.
And very, very, very quickly with very short answers, do we have any abstaining questions which need to be put equally to both sides, Mr. Maguire? Go ahead. Very, very quickly.
Okay, there's a lot of talk about influence and who inspired who, and even our dear Max did say, oh, who wrote the first book? 6,000 years old.
For God's sake.
Only 6 days and less than 7.
You have to tell us how you do
All these two works, which better relate to the beautiful corpus that is the book of the Holy Roman Catholic Church.
Proposition first, very quickly.
I think it is very important. Whether it be very evident part in the 7-time order in which the encounter a messianic figure dies and comes back to life, or the chosen one, the anointed one by the all-powerful. It's so unbelievably clear, not only to you, not only to us, but to all of us here in this wonderful building tonight. But of course, Harry Potter has much more in common with our dear, beloved Bible and with those values. Of course. I mean, we see Jesus apparent in our dear Harry Potter, the young man bequeathed upon a set of parents, not entirely birth, and also just through how sheer bloody wonderful he is, such as in our Lord Jesus Christ. And that is so evident with the figure of Albus Dumbledore, representing the Inquisition. The figure of the shadowy Voldemort, representing the abhorrent Church of Ireland faith. You know, the Death Eaters, representing the wrong, the heathen. But that is why you and I both know that it is of course Harry Potter that is much more representative.
Right. Thank you. Opposition, very quickly.
Yes. Tolkien, as a good Catholic himself, member of the Brighton Irish League, stated many times that Lord of the Rings is an inherently Catholic piece of literature. Further to that, it does recognise a lot of what the Church brings forth in terms of the heroism of the ordinary man. In the very same sense that Christ was born a carpenter. It shows that he was the chosen one, but someone that is seen with due expectation being the chosen one is the chosen one. It shows that throughout anybody could realistically be it, and for that reason.
Thank you. Right. Very good. We will now turn to the vote on speakerability. It's not about what side you agree with, but who spoke the best. If you'd like to vote for the proposition, please raise your hand now.
Oh, it's incredible.
16, Rory, 16. Right down. If you'd like to vote for the opposition, please raise your hand now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 11. And if you'd like to abstain, please raise your hand now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So please, that's 6, Ruth. Can we have the vote on speakerability, please?
16 voted for prop, 11 voted for op, and 6 abstained.
The proposition have it. Just before everybody rushes off, can I remind you we're in the Senate room at 7 p.m. on Tuesday for This House Regrets the Decline of the SLP.
We have an after booked in the post house
right now and on Tuesday.
And on Tuesday, and also, if anyone has a ballot ticket they're willing to sell, please come see.
Thank you for coming along. We'll see you on Tuesday.